Good evening. Welcome to Beyond Focus TV. I am your host, Phatter. Today we sit and discuss crime rates in our local communities with the Executive Director of Gangsters Making Astronomical Community Changes. We'll be back. Welcome back. We're here with the Executive Director of GMAC, also known as Gangsters Making Astronomical Community Changes. Mr. McPhatter, how are you this evening?
I'm fine. How are you doing, Z?
We're so happy to have you here because crime rates are a huge issue in our local communities. So with GMAC, your organization, tell us a little bit about what your organization does.
We do a lot of things in the community as far as the youth, and especially dealing with the gun violence that's happening, so much on a daily basis. You're talking about these days where 5 to 10 people are shot in different areas. Mm-hmm. So what our job is to go out into the streets and first and foremost bring down the retaliations that's happening after these shootings. Mm-hmm. But not just dealing with the retaliations, we want to be preventive. We want to stop it from happening. And the best way to do that is to interact with the youth and build a relationship with them so that they know they have outlets out there besides people who they feel are just out there to convict them and send them to the prisons, or people who are out there who just don't understand the lifestyle that they're living.
What are the preventative actions that you guys work on as an organization?
One of the main things for us is the mindset.
Okay.
So many of our youth believe that they want to live the fast lifestyle, mm-hmm. Which is the drugs, the money, the cars, the women, and being idolized for being a gangster. That is our main objective, getting them to understand there's more to life than focusing on those things that put them in the prison system or cause them an early grave.
So this organization has a really unique name, Gangsters Making Astronomical Community Changes. What led you to even have that specific name for this organization?
Well, if you did research on the last 15, 20 years of my life, that's the life that I led. Mm-hmm. For me, being a youth coming up in the streets of Brooklyn, mm-hmm. To going to the world famous Rikers Island, to going upstate doing prison time, and being involved in one of the most notorious gangs out there, which is the Bloods. I was part of that lifestyle, and I realized that is something that we have, despite what people were refusing to admit. Mm-hmm. So many of our youth are being directed towards that life. Mm-hmm. So when you look at how much the music, the movies, and everything idolize that, I realized that those are the forefront. Those are people who are the vanguards of making a change. Mm-hmm. So for me to be that person who they're mimicking, and even though I didn't do it with the intention of mimicking anyone else, I realized that we have to be the ones who step forward first. If the ones who are the leaders in these gangs are the ones who step forward, then the youth will realize that there's a different way to go. Mm-hmm. So the gangsters are the ones who have caused the mass shootings, the whole concept of that lifestyle. They should be the ones who step forward first.
So when did that light go off in your head I need to make a change, I need to create an initiative for these young people?
It was sitting in the prison cell. My last bit was about 5 years ago. I was constantly being, picked on by the administration.
Which administration?
Prison administration, while I was doing time because of my leadership. Even if I didn't do anything, I went to the box just because I was a leader. And being shackled in cells and being fed through a slot, not be able to come out of my cell. A lot of this is not put to our youth to understand that. Even so, that is actually a badge of honor to do time. But me sitting in there and realizing that, it wasn't for me, that I had to make a change for myself, and I have children. And constantly hearing how many young men and even young, women are getting murdered, I knew that somebody had to make that change and show them that it's okay to be different. It's okay to not be the one out there causing the problems, to be the one that has solutions to the problems. So, knowing that I no longer wanted to spend the rest of my life in prison, I knew that I had to do something different.
So what specific point led you to say, I'm going to start this organization, GMAC? When did that change come?
It came during my last,
the last 5 years?
No, not in the last 5 years. My last state bid, I did 3 years.
As soon as you came out, you started GMAC?
Correct. While I was in there, I made that transition. Okay. I made the change for myself. I started pulling myself away from the things that I once loved, from the people that I really hung out with, from those who I know continue to talk about the same things that I no longer want to do. So
you made a change in your environment?
I made a change in my mind first.
Okay.
It's a mental addiction that our communities are going through. It's a society-fed addiction. So I realized first, like we say, when you're addicted to something, you have to first accept that addiction. And when you have time in a cell 23 hours a day, there's no more books to read because you're limited amount of books. It gives you enough time to think. And as I begin to think about it, I realized I got a problem, and I have to do something about it first for myself. So once I accepted myself, my need to change, I then knew, now that I've made my change, and it took some time to do that, I know that I have the voice, the power, the strength, the leadership to start getting others to do the same thing.
And did you start this initiative on your own, or did you have a group of people that helped you put this together?
Well, it was a thought that came from me, but as I began to speak with others and people in my life and people outside of the lifestyle, I got a lot of support with it. A lot of people wanted to, play a part because they realized the problems that we have. It just didn't affect the people who families were murdered or who families in prison. They realized that, me just walking down the block and knowing that somebody on the next corner was shot affects me, and people decided they wanted to step up and start helping us as well.
And how many people do you work with?
I mean, we get volunteers all the time. Not enough. That's what we're definitely out here looking for, more people who take that initiative to help make the change. And if you look at the concept of GMAC, which is, like I said, Gangsters Making Astronomical Community Change, the G starts with us, those who are that lifestyle. But the G can be broken down in many different ways.
In what ways?
Great people making astronomical community change.
Great people.
Generals making gentlemen, gentlewomen making astronomical community changes. Guys, girls making astronomical. We can go on. Where do you fit in at? What I'm saying? How can you make that astronomical community change?
So we're gonna take a quick break, come right back, and we're gonna talk about how can they make those changes and how can we assist you in your initiative.
That will.
We'll be right back. We're here with the Executive Director, Mr. Phatter, of Gangsters Making Astronomical Community Changes. So we were speaking about the G in GMAC. So You can explain.
Yeah, G and GMAC. Like I said, it starts with the gangsters, but it involves the community. You know, everyone in the community is not a gangster. Yet, that's the mass majority of who's causing the havoc and the violence in our communities. Those are the leaders of the streets. They're the ones who the youth listen to more, who they tend to mimic. So they're the ones who should make that first initiative. With the community, where's, you know, great people, like I said, great men, great elected officials, you know, great leaders are the ones who have to step forward and show that it takes all of us. If you look at our symbol, which is an umbrella over the whole community, that's the community. The umbrella, we have the red over it because it's the blood that's been shed over our community. So we throw that umbrella up to protect that blood shed over our communities, and to bring everybody up under that umbrella, because it takes so much of us to come together, unite for the same common cause to bring down level of violence in our communities. So that's what we are really focused on, bringing as many people to come to the table and say, what can we all do? Not just what we're doing, but how can you come to the table and help us? We have those, you know, those people who are doing that, but it's so much more out there not taking that step forward.
And I'm glad that you mentioned it's not just gangsters, well, former gangsters coming in to push this initiative. You have elected officials that you've worked with before.
Yes.
And who have you worked with before?
One of our, you know, biggest supporters is Jamani D. Williams out in East Flatbush. Pastor Gil Monrose out in East Flatbush. We've worked with Al Sharpton. But when I say these names, I say these names because these are people who have come out into the streets, who have called us when something has arose, or we go out and support them when they come out and support what we're doing. Where we say we walk the streets together, we talk to the youth, we talk to the, you know, the elders, and we see what we can do. We see what we can do as GMAC, whereas the mindset and the programs, or how we can pull those youth away from what they're doing, and the elected officials who talk about the bills, who are able to speak with the certain parties about what's needed for resources. These people are important because they have shown us that they're sincere. They're not the ones who are just giving you the lip just because it's election time. They need
physically see them.
I mean, call me. And I can go out on the corner at 10, 11 o'clock at night with Jamani Williams, and he'll do that. Like I said, Al Sharpton have come out at night, and Al Sharpton is getting ready to go to Chicago to combat gun violence out there. These are people who are actually involved in the community, not just a voice that you hear, but when it comes time for a real issue, they won't step up, and that's what we need more of.
So describe how the partnership with you and these elected officials and community organizers have helped GMAC in what you're trying to do.
It's a two-part thing, because our goals is not focused on the bills. We don't
focus on policies,
legislative. That's not what we're here for. We're here for the youth. Like, there's been marches where we've attended with Jamani or someone else because that's a voice that needs to get out there. But when it comes to that, we don't really care about that because that's their job. We care so much more about how can we get these kids to get away from that life. How can we help them? How do we focus on what their problems are? You know, aside of us looking for the next level, our next level isn't about, can I be mayor? You know, it's about what I can do to get this child a different life, help his family, and help him raise his children. You know, help, you know, these kids from shooting each other. That's our main focus. So when we work with them, you know, we are gang specialists. We are street specialists. So as a street specialist, they have their specialties, we have our specialties. So it's easy to work together. You know, it's easy for us to talk to the child versus the adult. So with elected official to come out in the streets and say, you know, they know me as Trife from, you know, the lifestyle I live. Trife, this is what we need. Okay, we're going over to, like I said, we did a lot of work in East Flatbush. We're going to East Flatbush, and we want to interact with these youth. We want to see how many is voting. So when we get out there, let's say Jamani's walking hand in hand with us. As we're figuring out what the problems is in the neighborhood as far as the shooting, he's figuring out, okay, how many of you in East Flatbush actually have citizenship? You know, so that's how we work together.
Okay. So what other programs do you guys have that we can be aware of? And is GMAC citywide or just Brooklyn?
We starting in Brooklyn. Our goal is international. Because it's not just a Brooklyn problem. Violence is spreading into suburban areas. One of the things that we have focused on is our schools. That's a place of congregation for our youth. Too many hours spent in the day, not too many, but so many youth from different areas come together and speak about so many different things. Many hours in the day where we don't know what our children are speaking about, and they're taking it and dispersing it in different communities. So we realized that at that point, we want to get them where they're congregating at, and we want to help them. So in the schools, we realized that a lot of the teachers don't have the skill set to understand the issues that they're going through. You know, a math teacher is a math teacher, you know, not a youth advocate or youth counselor or mentor. So one of our biggest things is all the schools that have, you know, alternative schools with problem youth, we're focusing on that primarily.
You guys go directly into the schools?
Yes, we go into the schools. We talk about gang prevention, you know, bullying, everything that falls under that umbrella.
So you put on workshops in local schools? We
put on workshops in schools. We hold, you know, panel discussions, work with the youth in sports to help them express their talents. We realize that that's the way to do it. Figure out what their talents are and direct them towards that. So the schools is definitely important for us. Not just the schools. We do a lot of, you know, there's a program called Ceasefire that started out in Chicago, where we were doing it before we even knew what it was, that there was funding for it, where we just go out, once somebody was shot, we go and we respond to that. We figure out how we can help that family that's suffering, as well as talk to his homies in the community and, you know, bring down the level of retaliation, because when someone you care about is shot, and that gangster mindset, you want to go out and hurt somebody. So our goal is to go out there and say, listen, is that really the best answer?
All right, so we're going to take a quick break, be right back, and then you can let us know how can we get more involved and how can we find GMAC in our local communities. We'll be right back. The Executive Director of GMAC, Gangsters Making Astronomical Community Changes. So what events do you have going on this year that we should be aware of? We know that recently there's been a lot of reports of crimes in Brooklyn during the summer. That's what summertime is about. You know, people are outside and different things are happening. So what events and programs do you have going on that our local community can get involved in to keep the kids off the street?
We're doing youth sports, not just, we do basketball, exercise. We realize a lot of energy is just wasted, so we take a lot of youth out there and we teach them discipline through fitness. In the schools, we're working on this year having a lot of teacher seminars to get the teachers educated, parent seminars that teach a parent how to be able to identify when their child is going towards that lifestyle before it gets to the point that it's hard for them to communicate with their children. We're going to travel into different states. We want to get more into those other communities that don't know what GMAC is and build a small community of leaders out there. Our biggest thing is support from the community. It's funding. It's hard for organizations like ourselves to get the funding because everyone out there is competing and it's so little. Where you have so many people out there who can just say, you know what, how can I help? You can help by volunteering. You can help by donating. You know, we have to raise our own funds. So if we say there's a fundraiser, come out and come to the fundraiser.
Where do you guys normally hold your events and programs?
It depends. We're a needs-based organization.
So they call you and you come into that local community?
Yeah, we get a lot of calls. That's mostly where we put our attention, where someone says this is an issue that we're having over here. We don't put ourselves in one area. So if you're looking for GMAC, you can call GMAC to come to Queens. You can call GMAC to come to Staten Island. But it's still about the support that we're receiving from the adults. You know, the NBA stars, the hip hop stars. These are people who have the resources, but there's so much focus. There's focus so much in their own, you know, lives where they don't see how it hurts them. You know, we got to get people to realize that just because you don't know this young man that was shot, it's still hurting your community. It's still hurting someone else's child. You know, too many lives are lost off of one bullet. So, you know, we have a website called, you know, it's gangstermackin.com. It's GANGSTAMACKIN.com. You can reach me at Shanduke, SHANDUKE, at gangstermackin.com. That's my email. And just, you know, Google GMAC. You see a lot of the work that we're doing in the community. We're hands-on. We do as much as we possibly can. But we love volunteers. We love those gentlemen out there who live the lifestyle and made the change to come and have testimonies. That's another big thing that we're going to do is we're going to launch our yearly award ceremony.
When is that?
It's about change.
No, when is it?
When is it? We haven't finalized the date, but we'll post it on our website. And we're also going to get ready to launch this year our Gangster Anonymous.
What is that?
Gangster Anonymous is for those who've already made the change. A lot of people don't realize that it's easy for them if they're working hard to be deterred if they don't have the right support system.
So for instance, let's say it's a young man, he's in a gang, he wants to leave, he'll contact you guys under Gangsters Anonymous, and you guys can help him remove himself from that environment. Correct.
We have no problem with talking to the people that he are dealing with, the people, the big homie or whatever of that, you know, that gang. And he has to show sincerity. He has to show us that he's just not coming because he caused himself a situation and he's just saying, I want to come under your umbrella. He has to show, he or she, because we have a lot of our women, our young women who are being directed to these gangs by a lot of the men and using our young women. So we want to also get that out there too, that we want our young women to come and they're the leaders of our children. So come to us, speak, you know. We're not going to go out there and put you on the spot. We're going to make sure that you have the support that you need to go out there and speak with this person or persons and get them to understand the difference of what you were doing and how you've made that change in your life.
Quickly tell us, what can we do as a community and as parents to prevent our kids from being involved in violent activity during the summer?
Oh, it's hard to sum that up. Find outlets, find organizations like mine. I'm not the only one out there. I'm not one who focuses just on myself. There's organizations out there like Holla's linked all together, SOS, which is out in Crown Heights. Faith.
What is SOS?
SOS is Save Our Streets.
Save Our Streets.
Faith is Fathers Alive in the Hood, is out in Coney Island. These are also youth organizations that we work hand in hand with. We want to show that we are united out here in these streets for change. So your neighborhood has someone out there that you can go and talk to. We have a website where you can just email us and anonymously tell us your issues. Oh, okay, this is what's happening. What should I do? It's like a Dear Abby. And we'll tell you a better way. A lot of our youth don't actually have the answers.
Yeah.
They don't know how to respond to something, so they go to someone who gives them the wrong way to do it, and that gives them an issue.
So you guys are an outlet to give them the right way.
Oh yes, we're specialists. We've realized, we've witnessed, we've been through it. So for us to go through it, we know what it takes to make that change because we've done it.
So quickly tell our audience the name of your website again. You could spell it out, and an email address or a phone number where they can reach you.
It's gangstermackin.com, GANGSTAMACKIN. You can reach me directly at 718-772-7429, and my email is shanduke@gangstermackin.com.
Mr. Shanduke McPhatter,
yes.
Thank you so much for being here with us. We learned so much from you, and we hope our community can reach out to you and work with you and empowering our youth.
It takes all of us.
Yes.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for tuning in to Beyond Focus TV this evening. Have a great night.
I sing this song for you.